What's going on, YouTubes? Time for a recap. So, start of the week after the tariff dump. Oh no, world's ending like always, right? Huge gap down to be bought, right back up. So, all the crypto degens, hopefully you guys are buying that dip. Hopefully you guys are staying relevant on that upside. Let's go into our trade plan. So, early, posted on the X as well. I was looking for the downside over under the golden pocket. Right here is what we called on X. Oh, I need my drawing tool here. Right here. So on X, I said it needed to be under the golden pocket like we always talk about in order to get down to this for the start of the week, unless it wants to go bullish right away, which we got to squeeze. And what's the best indicator in the world? Hype, fear, greed. So you know damn well we had Mexico and Canada both folding right into Donald Trump's plan, obviously. So we got this monster force up move, and we can never account for news ever. That's hype, fear, and greed. News is the major catalyst of all things. Will knock out any indicator you think you have or what you think you know or literally anything. News will always take you out no matter what. So as we get into the trade plans here, our over-under was right here at the bottom of the algo. So what we usually do is we fib out the high-low algos, right? And then we look for tags of the golden pocket. If we are outside of the algo range, we look to go down. If we're inside of the range, we look to go up. It's really that simple. So right here at 513.18, that was our over-under trade plan. So if we were inside the fib box, we were going long into the golden pocket, the big purple zone. So we had a beautiful squeeze. Now, very hard to take these entries. We looked for pullbacks. We looked to get in there. Pretty gnarly, to say the very least. There was some algo, some more news, and some crazy algo shifts right here upon regular trend. This is all some decent regular trend of the market here. Candles, and then all of a sudden, irregulation. And we talked about how algo manipulation, what they kind of look like here. And that's definitely that, right? So we're looking at the downside for my chat, and I'll go over that on SPY in a second here. But first leg of the day, we're looking for the Q's algo to go back up long. Good outlook there. And then I want to look at the NQ real quick as well. So we had a couple different short calls here. Again, we had some pretty large 5-minute no tag GP. So if I go to the 5-minute chart here, we had another one of these algo candles we talked about in a couple of the other videos where the GPs was not tagged, and it will come back eventually for that tag. So here's that high-low 5-minute. There's the purple zone, and I was looking for a first scalp short tagged into the 1618. Well, it did come down a little bit. We did put in some good points. Now, remember, these candles, it might not look like much, but this is your short entry scalp, and this is as low as the trade could potentially have gone. Now, I'm going to remove this, and remember, the VIX is high, so these candles are huge. So if you would have shorted into the first tag, this is what the trade plan was, and I was drawing it way back here before it happened, finally tagged right here. Now, the first tag was to short that, right? And these candles for a scalp, it says right on the screen, don't hold and pray, 80 freaking 1 points in 15 minutes. Okay, VIX is high, so these ranges are big. So we're talking scalp right here, just a little move down, and people are like, oh, it's a tiny move down because 81 freaking points. Massive on NQ, right? And then I told my chat, and I yelled, and I kicked, and I screamed, and I was like, dudes, do not short anything until you actually hit 21.53322. You can scalp the 1618, and usually it goes back to the 100 fib before it goes back up. That's how we use fibs. If we delete these two, notice here, first tag short, 1618, down 2. Here's that wick of the 100. Got some interesting algo scam here, pushed us back up, shied our target. This is where our orange box, I wanted to see a hit right there before we did another short, yesterday's lows. And then it failed right back to the GP again, which you see here in the gold. Now, if that GP held and pushed up, that's fine. First tag, we never really got one. So I told my chat to look for this specific play on SPY. And I was like, you guys, we got to go over all the SPY moves. Because why? Well, we had an intraday algo, oddly enough. So our trade plan is always GP. And again, we can't account for the big Mexico news folding under Donald Trump. That stuff's going to happen. If you guys remember back in the day, the China tweets, man, those would come out and the market would just go nuts. Chasing down the China tweets, and same thing. We love the volatility. So what we had here on SPY, there's an early algo here. So we high-low those fibs like always, and we look for direction outside of the GP, which is again 61.8 to 38.20, just the center lines of that Fibonacci point. Notice there's an intraday algo right here. These are very rare when we get an intraday, right? Could be news algos, could be whatever, but this is a huge force up, really big force up candle. And the algorithms that we always do in pre-market, you guys are used to these. You see them in pre and after hours all the time. We covered a million times on the recaps on the channel, but the live trading hour ones here, those are a little bit more rare. So we had some news come in, we had some sentiment. It was, data, but we have to pay attention to the high-low fibs. So two things stuck out to us here during the pre-market algo, which is the one you see here. Gotta change this over here. There we go. And then we had the 5-minute no tag. So if we have a 5-minute chart here, we have this guy here. And I'm going to delete the pre-market algo here because we obviously opened up, blew right through that, confirmed right here on that second 5-minute. But regardless, we have intradays to worry about. So the 5-minute had no tag, as so we thought, right? So our thought process is always when we push outside of the range here, goes to the 1618 tag, finds resistance, generally returns back to the 100 and then the golden pocket. Well, this algo came out of nowhere, slammed down and filled exactly what we usually look for. Now, the live trading ones, we got to take into consideration that these could potentially be fills, right? That could be fat finger Wall Streets where there's somebody just aped into a position on accident. Now, that could be because it's live trading hours. It's not the pre-market algos where the ghost wicks are, and we don't know what they are, right? Holy cow, we're into a nice move right here. So, right here, that pullback to that algo, we have to fib that out as well. So I told my chat again, I screamed and kicked, and I was like, guys, do not short anything until we hit 600. That's it, 600, because we're either that or we're gonna have to fill that gap. And of course, yesterday's lows is right here. Price action is way down here. We did not fill the gap, but we did hit 600. I told you guys not to short a damn thing until we got trended to 600. Now we had daily fibs and a bunch of other stuff for that exact trade here. And this is the one that we had marked up for GPs. I think I have a different cleaner one here. There's the cleaner one. So this was the original that we posted on X, okay? So we fibbed out, and I told you guys the guaranteed trade was in the gold. So this algo was made, and then I said we shorted right here. We nabbed a really good trade right here. We shorted 598.20 all the way down to the GP, and I said take your trade. And I had a gold box right here, and I said this is a guaranteed trade. I don't really say guaranteed a lot of times. There's no guarantees in the market, but this one just had to be done. So we shorted at 598.20 down to the GP, 22 points on ES, a lot more on NQ that we got. So beautiful, right? Awesome. Now, as we pushed back into these ranges, highs, which is fine, we had one plan, right? A back test of the 100 EMA or price action shy because we have shying here. Let me delete well, this is the original trade plan where I said watch short here at that 600 psychological hold dollar. Boom, and then don't short until we get into the gold level. So you did have another short end of the day. It just didn't come good. And I told everybody in the chat too, wait for you to get structure break. But let me show you where that algo scam came in right here as well. So we had a 1-minute gap produce itself, push down, filled said 1-minute gap, as we always do, comes back down, right? I'm watching my trade position as we talk about this, creates this interesting algo storm right here. Something where you see inaccurate, just a bunch of weird snapping patterns. You got to watch out because that's picking a trend here. The algo computers are getting the switches flipped, I promise you. So once this comes in to some disruption on the 1-minute, it ends up picking long. And we did a couple of videos on these on NQ and ES in the prior recap channels, and all of our recaps have a little bit of some eggs in there to some big takeaways, right? So from here to here, this was that initial algo candle. What I like to do is I like to box these out, and I just go, yeah, this whole fucking range is just scam city. So wait till the price action either breaks outside whatever leg it wants to. I don't care if it's long outside the box or short outside the box. So when it starts putting irregular 1-minute candles up here and it chops, I generally wait for, outside movement. So if it breaks out of that box, we go up. If it breaks under that box, we go down. Okay. And that was one of these scenarios where you see irregular 1-minute candles stack up. And those are some algorithms hitting some switches. So as we move into the rest of the move, we said orange box right here, that was your short entry. That's where I drew the giant red candle, and we hoped for a pullback, down to algo. Now we didn't get that, which is great, actually, believe it or not. So the intraday algo right here is going to be a very big key player, right, into the next day. So we're going to extend this to the right. We're going to kind of see what happened, right? So the intraday algo, that could have been a fat finger order. It could be whatever it wants to be here, associated with that squeeze, right? And then down. And if that was quote unquote filled by the algo, that means we do have tags all the way down to some of these big zones here where you see fair value gaps and the big squeeze from the Mexico news. Now, again, nothing we can do about news. When it comes out, man. Squeeze city. But we can only react to the golden pocket of algos next. So the high-low, so if we broke inside the algo, we usually go back down to the golden pocket. If we're outside the algo, we generally range higher. And I was only looking for a short at 600, and I told everybody just to wait for a trend, wait for the breakdown into the 10, and have it go back down. Unfortunately, you did run into this crazy algo snapping 1 minute candle that kind of ruined the perfect short, because this is a really nice consolidation, lower high, lower lows, going for that 3 down, and our target was always GP. So the 50 waypoint right here, golden pocket of that beautiful 1618 there as well as the algo 50. Now, lo and behold, we didn't quite make it there. But now this is going to be a huge sentiment. So moving into the next trade day here, and if we move into the short, we are going to see an opportunity to come back down for these big shorts. Why? Because they're not tagged GPs. Let me show you what I mean real fast for the prediction. So as we come into a nice clean chart, I'll show you what I was working with. These fibs right here on the weekly high-low, this was the most important thing I had on the screen for myself. So we did over under. So the short was under 599.44. We want to get down to 590.26 because that's how we do no tag GPs. This GP, as far as I'm concerned, is still not tagged. So let's go into the intraday and see what that looks like. Well, the pre-market tagged, after hours tagged on that golden pocket, not real. Low a day squeezed right before the news, no real tag. That means that we have a gap open on the daily chart here because, of course, price action did not make it to yesterday's lows, which is the blue dash line here, right? So what do we look for? Well, the gap's open, so it's kind of a gap and go to the downside still, regardless of this push. So what could we do? Well, if we stay under 600, 587.42, back to the GP on the weekly. So I'm still going to look for that downside under 600. If for whatever reason we hold 600 and it holds a push gap, then I'll check it out in the morning because then I'll decide what I want to do with it. Because right now the two fibs that are going to be battling with each other right here is 127 and then our no tag GP. So the daily charts where you want to get your 127 from, the weekly has no tags. And the gap is obviously right here. So we have two different candles that are going to fight for a no tag algorithm right here. We're going to utilize 127s. And the weekly we just did. And usually the weekly is in the teal here. Right? Then daily's usually white. Now these two Fibonacci no tag golden pockets, obviously the daily one is right here. This is the golden pocket of said daily we just drew. And this is the weekly. Okay, those are the golden pockets, and these are your over-under points. This is the obvious over-under point we had today, and 600. So, two things will happen here. We created a candle today. So again, got to mess the GPs. Look for the 1618. Anything over 595.51, hold. We're going back to 605, 604. Anything under that, we're coming down to the GP. So this is your line in the sand, my friends. This is everything for tomorrow. It is either going to hold the halfway point of the gap candle we have suffered with today, and it is going to move up to 601, and then it is going to move up to the GP of the no tag. This is a no tag, right? If not, we will stay under this gap candle. And luckily, let's back up here. Luckily, we have another gap to worry about here, right? We'll start magneting this gap fill right here. Of course, we have no idea which one's going to hit, but it's always fun to watch, right? So confirmation is key now, and this big old candle, and of course, you're going to utilize 595.51 as we talked about, but it is also a good idea to fib out yesterday's candle always. So that's going to be your outlook. And of course, we knew this was going to tag right in the 50, so we don't really need that. We have double overlapping fibs right here. So the biggest trade plan per our video breakdowns, if you want to see how we do this, I have giant videos in the live section with hours and hours of us going exactly over this and how we do it. And last but not least, I do want to match up, and I'll give you guys a freebie here on the tube. You guessed it. 50 of the algo. Yeah, that's three no tag 50s, weekly, daily, algo, gap, all giving you the range right here between 595.51 and 593.33. That is your over under. Watch it for tomorrow. We're either coming back down to test this and going higher, or we will suffer a gnarly pushback down, and it will end up right around here for pre-market, and we will bounce these GPs. We will end up somewhere tomorrow, hopefully. With any luck, you will see price action right here for tomorrow into this golden pocket. And we will make direction from 595. How the hell did that change color? 595.51 to 595.39. That's crazy. MacBooks are nuts. So that's the whole over under. Let's watch for it, man. We got so much going on at 600. It's either drop 600 back to GP, or it's just gone with the wind. And that's fine by me, because if it is gone with the wind and it scams everybody on the perfect TA to the downside, that just means it's going right here to 605. So literally I would draw my tool out and I would say, okay, well, anything over yesterday's highs and AKA 600, we're going right here. Green move, big green move, super scam on deck. If not, the good trade day will be under 600, back towards the golden pocket red. So this is how I would draw that one. That's what you want to look for, over, under, and trend. Let's see what plays out. If you want to see me do this stuff live, the link is in the description. We trade every single day. Live for the viewers. Not an alert service by any means, as we always play disclaimer. I'm not here to feed you free plays. That is not what it is. You do not pay somebody a couple $100s a month and they make you rich. That is the loser mindset. Don't do that. But we can definitely teach you how to do this, and we can give you the premium levels and how we reach confirmation in the premium way every single day. Links in the description if you want to trade with us. If not, I'll see you on the next free YouTube video. You guys trade safe.